up to 4.5 trillion by 2021. It's a highly fragmented market dominated by a few players. In the e-commerce market itself, there are vendors who do storefronts, payment processing, shipment and fulfillment, and back office processing. And for instance, if you were to become a retailer online, there's a number of steps you have to take, and that brings about a degree of fragmentation. And in those fragmentation gaps, you'll see a lot of intermediaries adding costs, making the process more expensive and inefficient. Couple of opportunities that are also missed out by as a result of the process that we have in place currently is the lack of purchasing power for the consumer. So for instance, the best analogy I can give you is if we went to Alibaba.com and you try to buy goods on that website, you have, usually they'll have a minimum order quantity of 500 or 100 units per item. And as a consumer, you're not going to buy that quantity of items. So if you had the ability to group your purchases with other consumers, then that brings about some efficiency in the system and also drives prices down. The other problem that plagues the e-commerce market is last mile distribution. And even the big players are looking at various solutions to solving this. And for instance, Amazon.com has got 23 distribution centers throughout America. But we have a much better model, we believe, that will play with the existing incumbents and make them more efficient. At the same time, bring about economies of scale for the consumers to drive down shipping costs. And if you notice, whenever you purchase items online, the shipping cost happens to be a significant portion. Obviously, there are some players who are giving free shipping for certain classes of products and so on, but it does become, if shipping costs are involved, it becomes a significant portion of that cost. So here's what we are trying to do. So our business model consists of 4 prongs. The first prong is we have the ability to sell products by setting up a storefront and so on. The second part of it is an interesting model which is called hyperlocal micro distribution. And I'm going to cover that in greater detail. And I would say that that's our Airbnb and Uber model for distribution of products in the e-commerce space. The third is direct-to-consumer pricing, or MOQ, minimum order quantity. And the fourth is our SnapForce back-office operations system, which is similar to Salesforce and other CRM systems that one would employ in your e-commerce business. So let me cover each of these items here that are distinguishing factors in our model. The first thing is we are asset light, which means that if you are a retailer who participates in our network, instead of carrying inventory on your own, you can drop ship it from the manufacturer to your consumer. So you don't need to hang on to a large amount of inventory at any given point in time. That makes you asset light. The second part of it is leveraging unused capacity. So let me cover that in a little bit. That's part of our micro distribution model. So in micro distribution, what we are trying to do is as follows. Uber makes your car into a cab, and Airbnb turns your house into a hotel. Okay? If you take those two components and marry them in the e-commerce context, what you get is what we are going to describe here. Any given storage space, it could be a garage, or if you have a storage facility, that location could now become a distribution center in our model. So if you have a garage, we can turn that into a distribution center and ship you items. The second is if you happen to have latent capacity in your vehicle, in your car, and so on, and in your daily routine, maybe you're dropping your kid off to school or whatnot, you can also drop off a package. That means you are using a latent capacity in your trunk of your car. That would make you a delivery partner in our network. So those two elements together, basically, we have a mesh network of a lot of distribution centers in our model, as opposed to the distribution model used by others. In fact, I was talking to a visitor to our booth. He happens to have a business where he has got a large retailer who uses them for shipping over 200,000 items a day, big distribution center company. And they came to us and they said, well, your distribution model is going to replace us because that's where the market is headed, micro distribution, hyper-local distribution. That drives down costs too. For example, if I ordered a product, but the item is sitting in a distribution center garage next door or 2 streets away, that last mile delivery cost and the predictability goes, predictability goes up and the cost comes down significantly. Finally, we have a faster way to build out a global network as opposed to the current model, which is very capital intensive and takes a long time. So let me illustrate some of this in the context of decentralization and cryptocurrency. So we have our own token and ICO that we plan to launch in September. But the idea is as follows. The distribution network itself, the delivery nodes and the distribution centers would stake tokens in our system. In the old-fashioned vernacular, I'd say like you're buying into the franchise, so to speak. So you stake tokens, and that staking will be the limit to which you can carry product in your garage or in your vehicle. So this enables us to have 2 major use cases for tokens in our platform. So for instance, if Andrew was a delivery person in my network and he staked 1,000 tokens, then he could carry goods worth up to $1,000, let's say. And that's the model. So that way what happens is if there's any sort of loss, theft, and so on, then that will be limited to the amount that he has staked. Now, here's a very easy example to follow as to how the whole ecosystem works. The first step is, let's imagine that there's the World Cup finals this weekend, and I wanted to buy a big screen TV to enjoy with my friends. So I might want to place an order. So now, there might be 500 other people with the same idea. So this platform enables pooling of purchases to drive down cost, which is the minimum order quantity model or purchase pooling model. So what happens is I first go to the storefront, I pick out the item, that goes into a shopping cart. That information gets broadcasted to all the participants in the network. Next, what happens is once enough participants purchase and the minimum order quantity number is hit, then the order is activated and sent to the manufacturer. At this point, the manufacturer ships out the product, drop ships it to various distribution centers, and this is where we begin to use some advanced algorithms to predict the shortest distance to reduce the cost of delivery. Now, once it goes to the micro distribution center, a delivery partner in the network picks up the order from the distribution center and delivers it locally. Now, this platform is already in development. We have the minimum order quantity system working in iOS and Android. We have about 200 brands with about 2 million products, some branded goods like Nescafe, Sony, Panasonic, and others. And we have a lot of ability and room to grow here because we are not trying to displace the existing incumbent players. We can live side by side with some of the bigger players like Amazon or Shopify and so on. So it's not a we against them model. It's like trying to make the inefficiencies in the entire platform go away. So if you see a lot of the cryptocurrency projects or decentralized projects, some of them happen to be a kind of a force-fitting of the model on top of a business. It fits like a glove. Decentralization and micro-distribution and group purchasing, perfect fit for blockchain. So our roadmap-wise, we have already started development, and we'll be launching our token or our cryptocurrency. In September, we'll have a series of sales and so on, pre-sale and crowd sale and so on. And we continue to build out the platform. And by February, by Q2 next year, we'll have the app fully built with its wallet for consumers to participate. A number of different suppliers have already approached us in joining our network. And that just makes everyone a lot more efficient because it's transparent, it's a much better scheme, removes a lot of intermediaries, allows consumers and manufacturers to go direct, so to speak. And the fact that we use latent capacity like the Uber and Airbnb model makes it even better because now every home can be a distribution center. Every person with a car could be a delivery person in our network. Our team itself, we are not 20-year-olds, just didn't graduate last week, sorry for some of you, but we are more experienced people who have been there, done that, built companies. And myself, I'm a former Yahoo and InfoSpace exec, started many companies and been part of many teams and sold them to public companies. And on my team is Bill McIntosh, she's former AOL exec. Jean, she has started a number of .coms like plasticsurgeons.com, giftbasket.com, sold it to public companies. Vince has been a VP of sales for 3 decades, good network of contacts. Joe runs our social media and direct marketing. And then on our advisory panel, we've got Mayur, who is very well known in the crypto space. We have Michael Chong, who did a lot of our financial models, and Chris Jones actually built Reach Local, which is one of the technologies that we use in our e-commerce network. And also we've got David Drake, who's LDJ Capital, very ICO bench #1 advisor coming on board as well on our team. In terms of investment, if one were, once we start on our cryptocurrency launch and so on, why would someone invest in buying.com? So that's a legitimate question. And the first thing is we are a security token. And we are going through all of the SEC procedures to make sure that all the I's are dotted and T's are crossed. And it gives a certain degree of validity to our project and process and so on. So we are following all of that, and it also gives you the opportunity to earn dividends potentially as an investor. That's the first thing. The second thing is we are going to make it an accepted form of payment in our platform. That means these tokens can be used for purchases just like any other currency. Third is the micro distributors and the delivery partners would stake tokens. That means they'd buy into the network. They'd stake tokens. The next one, like I said, the management team is a strong one. We have built businesses before. And the final thing is we have experience building such systems. We already have some of our systems in place, and the project is not simply a white paper looking for investment. It is